Hello everyone, this is Ponder on Weather. In this update, we're going to be talking about a massive storm system that will bring a major snowstorm with some ice and Arctic air, plus two severe weather components that will include a chance for tornadoes. Welcome back everyone. I appreciate each and every one of you out there that follow my page, and welcome to all the new followers. I'm actually trying to reach 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And we've got a lot to talk about over the next 7 days with very active weather pattern unfolding. So it's important to stay weather aware and listen to all the details that are going to be coming up within this video, and share this video with your friends and family so they know what may be lying ahead and keep them ahead of the storm. What we got going on to this afternoon is the overall satellite picture. And this is the infrared satellite where we've got some cold air in place. You can see it's still 20 below zero. And this is afternoon temperatures, folks, and 19 in Seattle. It's just not warming up as that Arctic air continues to ooze down a little bit further down to the south. This is the satellite picture. We've got some high clouds underneath. There's some snow flying, but there's not terribly too much going on right now. We do have a winter weather advisory that's going to be in place by 6 o'clock, as we have another system that's coming off the west coast that's going to be impacting portions of Portland as we get into the evening hours. But we got plenty of warm air down to the south. I mean, it is just really hot. I mean, I live in Texas myself. I'm in shorts. It's 80 degrees here in Dallas, folks. I mean, it is plenty warm, but that is all going to change in a big way as we get into the end of the year and the first day or two of January. So let's take a look at the overall hazard map for this afternoon. And we've got brand new winter high wind warnings, because this is a dynamic system. There's going to be a lot of high winds packing with this system. So we've got high wind warnings into portions of Washington and Oregon, and there's those new winter weather advisories in and around the Portland, Oregon area, where they're expecting another 1 to 3 inches of snow over the next day or two. And we've got a lot of winter weather advisories that encompass Nevada here, as well as portions of Utah into northern Arizona. But we also have that northern branch too, where they still have those winter storm warnings, and on the backside a blizzard warning down here. So again, these are very high winds. On the backside with these pressure gradients with the isobar so tight, those are going to be reaching blizzard warning conditions, and that's why they have those advisories out. But we still have got those winter weather advisories in place for northern portions of PA and upstate New York here, where they're getting some snowfall later on this afternoon and into the evening hours. But let's take a look at the map for tomorrow. Like I mentioned, we have that dynamic system by tomorrow morning. Another low pressure system off the west coast. That's going to bring some more snow in and around the Portland, Oregon area, as that colder air continues to drain from Canada. But out ahead of it, we've got some showers kind of breaking out in the midsection of the country and the portions of Kansas and Missouri here, where we have an active little system disturbance that's going to be coming across. But the main system we're going to be looking at least the first system on Wednesday, is the water vapor imagery. And you can definitely see there's that system coming off the west coast here. It's going to be able to tap into this very warm atmosphere down here in the Gulf of Mexico. And these are southwest winds, which is your warmest wind. And that's why you're getting some of those record high temperatures as of late. And that's going to continue into Wednesday. But as this system moves across, it's going to be able to pick up some of that Gulf moisture. And as it taps into that Gulf moisture, as we get into the afternoon hours on that 29th, 30th time frame, as we get into the overnight hours on the 30th, it really starts to explode over the warm sector here, right around into the Dixie Alley area, into portions of the southeast, where we could be setting the stage for yet another severe weather threat that's going to be unfolding by the time we get into the late afternoon hours into the evening hours on the 29th on Wednesday. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center has already highlighted 3 days out for a slight risk for severe weather, essentially from far east Texas, from your marginal risk, all the way down to encompass all the way into the Tennessee Valley area. But yes, the bullseye is more or less set up into Mississippi and Alabama here with this slight risk. And a lot of the parameters, what I'm looking at, I'm I'm definitely thinking this, they're going to be upgrading this to an enhanced risk as we get the overnight update from the Storm Prediction Center into the overnight hours. So a lot of the main computer guidance has shown a lot of consistency with this system, and even with the latest guidance that's coming into the afternoon runs as well, is even more amplified than what it was before. I mean, there is going to be a lot of shear with this system, unfortunately, and that could be setting the stage for another tornado threat. I don't expect a huge outbreak from this system, but I do expect some of these, because this atmosphere is going to be rotating, going to be more susceptible to seeing some of those tornadoes, especially as we get into the late afternoon hours into the overnight hours. Is going to be another nocturnal event. I mean, the sun sets pretty early in this time of year. So, but the time we get into the afternoon hours, the latest NAM 3K kilometer model has those tornado parameter indexes fairly high. I mean, we're talking 3s and 4s. We're not, not 7s and 8s or anything like that, but still, we could see it's not out of the question to see a tornado or two that's coming out of this system, and it only goes out actually 60 hours, so I couldn't actually expand it. But I do feel as we get into the overnight hours, because this is 21Z, so this could be starting right around that time frame, about the 4 o'clock hour. But I do feel by the time we get to the 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock time frame, we're going to be looking at more action. But this model is going to be actually going to be able to update in the morning hours. But yes, a lot of the parameters I'm looking at, it's going to be moving further north as we get into the overnight hours on the 29th, because you can see by the latest composite reflectivity radar view, by about 4 o'clock we should start to see showers and thunderstorms start to explode. And I think they're going to be, you see these little bubbles here, there's a little bubble action. I think once it takes advantage of that daytime heating, as it taps into that low level jet, once that catches up with it, things are going to start to erupt into the afternoon and into the early evening hours, right along here in this corridor of Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama. So that is the main bullseye, with at least with this first system that's coming up on that Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night time frame. And then we have an Arctic air component. So there's a lot of Arctic air building up in Canada. It's been sitting there for a while now, and it's finally going to be on the move, but it's got some dangerously cold temperatures by the time we get into that December the 30th time frame. Look at that. These are actual temperatures, folks. We're talking 40 below zero up in Canada. That's some serious dangerous stuff. And 28 below zero and North Dakota. But those teens in single digits push all the way a little bit further south. Now they're showing teens into Kansas and 20s in Missouri. So you can see there's cold air coming down. They just kind of wait for that trigger, and that's when the things really start to get amplified, because we have yet another severe weather threat going to be setting up by the time we get into New Year's Eve night. As we can see, by New Year's Eve on that Friday, we've got a very dynamic low pressure system that's forming off the coast of California, and this is going to be rapidly intensifying. This is a powerful jet stream going to be pushing massive winds, very high winds along this corridor here. You can see where these isobars are really tightening up here, and it's going to be able to tap into that warm sector of the Gulf of Mexico, because it's not going to be able to clear out by then. And in fact, it's going to be more primed with this second system than it's going to be from the first system. So that's why we're getting deeply concerned, especially with this second system, with all the dynamics, again, even more amplified than what we were seeing this morning, because it actually digs a little bit further south. That sets the stage and is going to be able to pull in more of that Gulf moisture, increasing the severe weather threat on the southern side. But since it draws further south, it's going to be pulling down that colder air further south, and that pulls the snow line further south on the northern branch. Because let's take a look at the setup by the time we get into that 31st time frame. There's the overall freezing line well to the north here with that red line. Anything above that is typically your below freezing temperatures. But we're going to be watching this upper level low pressure system moving across, and you can already see we're starting to see probably some fog starting to show up in this neck of the woods. But that's definitely an indication this atmosphere is just more or less primed and ready for to explode as it taps into this upper level low pressure system. And this is the last thing you like to see in this area, especially what you've been through in the month of December, because it's been very active, because it's been very warm. I mean, we're still talking to end December on New Year's Eve. These 20 and 30 almost degrees above average temperatures. We got plenty of warmth with that system to tap into. Then you got all the Arctic air to the north bottled up with those below zero temperatures and these 30 to 30 below degrees temperature anomaly. So that's extremely some cold stuff, and a big contrast in that temperature department here. But the winds are going to be really packing a punch. This is going to be a powerful jet stream. This is the overall wind speed over the 7-day period through January 3rd. A lot of high winds with this system as it moves across. In fact, it maxes out about 122 miles an hour. So there's a lot of high winds. It's going to be very windy as we get towards the end of the year, and then those first couple of days of January. So be on the guard for that, and secure all your loose objects, because man, there's going to be just a powerful jet be coming across, and it be widespread, multiple states here getting very high winds with this particular system. But yeah, look at the dynamics as it gets into that January 1st time frame into the afternoon hours. Man, we got a powerful low-level jet here, and this is just screaming northward with a negative tilt, and that's going to be able to pull a lot of that precipitation in from the Gulf. And it's got a lot of rotation, unfortunately, with this particular system, even more so than the first one. And that's going to set the stage for another severe weather threat in a lot of the same areas. But I think this one's even going to be bigger than the first one. Right now, the Storm Prediction Center, even 6 days out, has a fairly significant risk of a slight risk for severe weather, including from Louisiana to Arkansas to Mississippi to Alabama, including Tennessee and Kentucky. So this is the last place you want to see severe weather, that's especially what you've already been through. But unfortunately, this looks pretty amplified, guys, and I'll be fine-tuning this in the days ahead. But I'm not liking what I'm seeing right now, because the parameters are fairly significant for a big event. And look at the tornado probabilities, and you're talking when you get 70s and 80% probabilities like this, that's a good possibility for tornadoes in and around, starting from far east Texas to Louisiana to Mississippi to Alabama, going in all the way to central Georgia. This one I think would encompass further north into Tennessee, into Kentucky, and even as far west, far east as North Carolina, into portions of Virginia. So I think this will encompass a much more bigger real estate for that severe weather as this is moving across. Because look at the shear with this one. This is just encompasses a very dynamic system with a multi-state of event potential coming up on that that Sunday time frame, Saturday, late Saturday, going into Sunday time frame. Look at the warm sector. There's your Arctic air on the backside, because there's always going to be a backside of the system. So you got Arctic air draining from the north to the south. You got those well above average temperature anomalies of that 20 to 30 degrees above average. Now you're talking 15 to 20 degrees below average in Texas and Oklahoma with the Arctic air to the north. But that's going to be able to drain and pull down that Arctic air, and plus be able to have amplified the lift. There's going to be two little systems here I'm kind of recognizing. The first system is still going to be within the warm sector. So that's where you have the greater possibility of seeing this snow, right? I mean, portions of snow breaking out into Nebraska, into Kansas, into portions of Oklahoma, portions of Missouri, at least the northern side of Missouri, into Iowa, portions of Illinois here on the southern side. You got the severe weather. But you got a tailing lag with this system. You got the trough access on the back side. So as this moves through, let me kind of fine tune this. As this kind of moves through, this is the first system, is going to be pinwheeling across. And on the back side, you've got Arctic air, right? Arctic air is the driest air, right? So it's going to be very difficult to snow in that environment, but you still have got lift. You got lift, you got an upper level low on the back side, but it's going to be fighting the dry air the entire way. So there are some models that actually show some snow into Oklahoma, into North Texas, In fact, the GFS is a little bit more bullish with this particular system. As the latest run, the European is showing some snow, not just in Oklahoma and North Texas, but it's actually got some snow into Arkansas. Now, the problem with that is, again, it's going to be fighting dry air the entire time frame. So the same time frame where it's showing it could be potentially snowing, we've got dew points in the single digits in teens. That's going to be a very difficult environment, as you know, it's going to have a lot of lift, and more than what it shows right now, because even though it's showing it could be snowing, I don't think much of that, if anything, actually reaches the ground. At least that's what it looks like currently at the moment. You know, it's very difficult to actually snow, and you got to get all the right dynamics in place, you know, together all at once to be able to snow in the South. I mean, it's very difficult for it to snow in the South. It just has to be right. And as of right now, at this moment, even though the models do show that we could be at least getting a dusting or 1 or 2 inches, and say in Dallas or portions of Oklahoma and Arkansas, I'm not buying that as of yet, right? I mean, because I think this is just going to be eaten away with this dry air on the backside with the Arctic air. And I think the dry air is going to be able to win out versus the amount of lift that's going to be coming with that second system on the backside. You have more of a chance with that first system on the frontal side. But as this moves through, that's going to continue to lift northeast. The northeast movement is going to be that first system. So it's still got those higher dew points and more amplitude into the warm sector. So I do feel most of this will be transferring to snow as you get further north into portions of portions of Kentucky, going into portions of the Ohio Valley. And this will just continue to race off and leave some snow for the northeast, but race off by the time we get in that third time frame. So there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of dynamics with this system, with 2 severe weather threats and then cold air draining in the backside, and timing is everything with weather. So I will continue to fine tune this, but I'll show you what some of the models are looking at for the latest GFS run. I think all this comes to fruition out west. This is pretty much a guaranteed thing. I think a lot of this comes to fruition up here to the north. The only uncertainty as of this moment is right here on this southern branch, how much of this is able to be able to reach the surface or not. This is the latest GFS. The European kind of has it the same way, more or less a dusting, possibly an inch or two as this moves across on the southern branch. But here's the latest blend of models, and with the blend it still has that dusting, so it kind of weeds out the bullish and the least bullish, and kind of has a blend of all the models currently right now. And if it does snow, it's going to be a very light dusting of snow for portions further off into the south. At least that's what it looks like right now, but there's a lot of moving parts, and I'll continue to stay weather aware with this system, especially with those 2 severe weather components. Appreciate you watching. Do share this video with your friends and family on social media. Hit the subscribe button if you hadn't already, and catch me in the next update where I protect you before and after storm.